everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Tea with T3. And today we're going to switch things up a little bit. Before we get started, we'll go around and introduce. I am Kendra Gentges.
Michelle Duty.
And I am the special guest, Tesia Harris.
So, of course, as you all know, Tesia is the team lead of Texas Trio Team. Tesia, tell us, how long have you been in real estate?
So this November will actually be, like my 11th year in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah, I got licensed in 2013.
That's amazing. I was actually reading, just out of my own curiosity, according to the National Association of Realtors, only 87% of realtors stay in the business after 5 years. So with you being in 11 years, that's something. So tell us, how was the journey getting here?
It was definitely not an easy ride at all. Whenever I first got licensed, I just decided that, I was going to do something with my life, but I had absolutely no idea what it was going to entail at all. So my first day of showing up at my first real estate brokerage, I think I was 26 or like 25, something like that. And anyways, I had my daughter. She was just like a year old and she was on my arms. And then my son was 2 and he was like hanging on my leg, and I had like the roll up double stroller and I had it on my back and I was like, hey, I'm here to work. And I just remember all the other realtors were like, yeah, right, she's not going to make it. So it's interesting to look back at it and just be like, you can go through it and prevail anything if you've just got the right mindset.
Mm-hmm. What made you choose real estate?
There was a business like where I grew up in Missouri that was really successful, and it always kind of looked like fun, and I always wanted to look at houses and all of that. But when I moved from Missouri and came to Texas, there was like an ad in the paper when people read the paper, I guess, or maybe I'm just an old soul like that. Mm-hmm. And it was like, come join our brokerage, we'll pay back for your school. And so anyways, I just kind of went that way. I did online schooling with 2 toddlers at home, and then had no idea the path that was going to lead me down.
Yeah. But it sounds like you had an interest in it, though you just didn't know to what capacity.
Oh, absolutely.
From a young age.
Just like any other, person, I think that it's like you get the shiny cars, and real estate's really easy. You just open doors and people buy homes, and, it doesn't take very long once you get in the business to realize that's really not how it works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So the moment you moved to Texas, you jumped right into real estate.
Yeah, I was shortly after. I didn't know anybody.
So how did you build this successful business not knowing a single soul here? Like, what was that journey?
Right. So when I first got into real estate, I was actually very fortunate because there's so many brokerages in the United States that, want to recruit, because that's how brokerages build their income, to keep their office spaces and their brick and mortar open. But the broker that I first joined with was very, very driven about training and getting people ready. And I'll never forget it. I was so young and so green that whenever we talked about owner finance, I was like, what does that mean? Like, I didn't understand. But I was in a really great brokerage. It was very family oriented, and we had training every single Monday. And so I just made the commitment. I'm going to take my kids to daycare every day and get to work. I'm going to be the first person there, and I'm going to learn the most that I can and work the hardest. And so not knowing anyone comes off very difficult to a lot of people, especially getting in this business. But I realized that I had to start networking and meeting people and growing my business if I wanted to be successful. And so once I had that, light come on, that's what it took, I just put my heels in the ground and just kept going forward from there.
Mm-hmm.
And thus began the 4:30 a.m. wake-ups?
Maybe as a young mom, that was a wake-up, but I wasn't there yet. I had to have a lot of breakdowns to start making a morning schedule. At the time, I was money-driven. And so I sat across, there was like an award ceremony shortly after I got into real estate. And so we went to this bank, and that's where the ceremony was. And I had just got in, and there was these veteran agents that were getting these huge plaques and, getting all the recognition. And I told myself that day, I was like, I'm getting one of those. Like, everybody had looked down on me in a sense because I was young. I had 2 young kids. Like, the vets in the business were like, yeah, good luck with that. Where I took that as fuel. And so the next year I stood up with them, and I was out producing all of them. And so that felt pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know during this process, your husband was deployed. So is that correct?
No, he wasn't in the military. He had gotten out.
Oh, okay.
We had already done that rodeo. And so when we had moved to this area of Texas, so we had been in Texas at Fort Hood for several years. He did deployments, but once he decided to get out, he was like, we wanted to stay in Texas. We really liked it. And so this area, the Houston area, oil and gas is where he wanted to do that.
That's right. Okay. So he was gone for some of the portion that you were just beginning your real estate career.
Absolutely. My daughter was probably, I might get it wrong, but I think she was probably 3 months old when we moved to this area and not knowing anybody. So at Fort Hood, we knew people, we had military families and all of that, but they weren't here. And so when we moved here, she was just a couple months old. And I remember when we moved from out of state, it was snowing. And then we got here and I had the C-section, all of that, not too long prior. And so I'm chasing a toddler and a newborn baby. And we got here and he unloaded the whole U-Haul by himself. We didn't have money for movers and stuff. And as soon as he unloaded the next day, he packed up and left for out of the state. And I was just at this house that I had never seen. We bought a house that I had never seen. It was wild.
Wow.
It was a lot of trust in him.
So during all of that time, you said, I'm going to get my real estate license.
Yeah, it was I was at home alone and, with 2 kids, and I wanted to make something of myself. I have never been one that's I'm going to be a bump on the log and collect money from my husband. That's great for people that it works for, but I was never that person. And so I just made that commitment. I was just I got to find something to do. And like I said, and then there was a paper that came out in our neighborhood. And it wasn't just the neighborhood, it was kind of the county. Waller County is where it was. And I was flipping through there, and that's where the bright, shiny ad was be a realtor. And I was like, I want to do that.
It's mind-blowing that you were in a new place, didn't know anybody, in a house you've never seen. Your husband is out working, and during that year span, you were up there with the vets showing them off. How did you do it?
Well, like I said, there was all the training and everything that the brokerage offered, but there was, he was a follower of the Mike Ferry organization. And so very quickly I learned that we're in a business where you need coaches or mentors or something like that to get through the hard times that we face. And so I bought into having a coach. And so I was coached for the first 2 years of my career. My coach was in Illinois, but we had weekly phone calls. And it was really nice to have an outside perspective of someone looking at my business, how much money I wanted to make, and to, continue doing that. And so I did it for a few years. And then I just started growing my own business. And then I realized that I had went from 0 to 100 really quick. And so my first year, my goal was 36 transactions, right? And I ended up selling my goal was 34. I ended up selling 36. And it was at the last stretch, it was December 15th. I'll never forget it. And I had 2 in escrow, and I'm oh, I gotta beat it. And so I ended up doing it. And then I realized after that difficult first year that I wasn't spending the time with my kids that I wanted to at their young age. And I realized that it was quantity. I wanted quality versus quantity. So rather than, a bunch of little lots, because that's really where I started with selling raw land. It made it easier not having to do inspections and things like that we do for people purchasing homes because I couldn't be there all the time being a mom. So that's where I started everything. But then, like I said, as my career grew, I started focusing on quality, people that had long-term past clients that were reaching out and needing help versus just fighting for everything.
So do you feel like the coach that you had was the most pivotal element in your business at that time?
I think that we're in a business where we need someone outside of, our family and our friends and, people that we work with are very important, and they help us every single day during the hard times and cheer us on during the good. But I needed that. I needed that accountability because we're in a business where there's no one holding your hand. There's no, there's no one at that time as a solo agent. I didn't have that. And so it was really important to me to have that cheerleader and also someone that held me accountable to keep me in line with my goals and give me outside opinions and options to grow my business, that it's not like I went to college and had a marketing degree or a business degree or any of that. So we're thrown into the wolf pack of like figure out how to run and operate a business to its fullest extent with marketing, accounting, networking, all of the above, plus running transactions, someone's biggest investment they've ever made, while being a mom, while being a wife, while being, a friend to others. It's very difficult to do it on your own. And so I commend anybody that's doing that. But I think our industry has really switched over to a team building aspect. And that's just something that I was very passionate about once I started the thought of real estate teams being kind of something that I was seeing growing in the industry. Probably like 2015, 2016, I was seeing it. I was like, what is a team? I was like shifting my business. I still wanted to be in it, but I had to realize and understand and start pivoting my business to like, how do you do that versus doing it on your own? Because doing it on your own is exceedingly difficult.
Whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people have done it, and they do it every single day, and they've done it for 20, 30 years. And I think that's amazing. But I was just at a point where, I can only juggle so many balls, and I had to do something different.
Right. I will say being a realtor and, being on your own, sometimes you kind of get bogged down with everyday life and not really knowing what to do and just to get back in that groove. So I will say having that coach, mentor, leader is one of the, again, most pivotal elements in my career. You have been there for us since day one. I think everybody can agree you have been a big game changer in our career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. And so I did coaching with the Mike Ferry organization for a few years. But our industry trends change a lot. So his son, Tom Ferry, actually has an organization that had coaching and all that. And, I started seeing that on YouTube, and it was very innovative as far as like social media marketing and all that. So I pivoted, and 2 years ago, I decided, I was like, I need coaching again. Like, even if I'm a coach or a mentor to other people, like I also still need that. And so I've had my coach for 2 years, and it's really amazing to be able to be in an ecosystem where there's events in Florida, there's events in Dallas, and we circle up, and you're getting from the leaders in our entire industry, not just, your region or your state, like, and you can bounce off of other people and learn and grow as well.
I think that's amazing because I feel like the real estate business kind of has a rap of it's kind of dog eat dog. And, so I love that there are those types of things that everybody can just come together for the same goal and help each other grow. I think that's very important.
Yeah. And I think that our industry is a dog eat dog. It can very much be, especially if you're in a smaller market. So one thing that I noticed about myself that I would talk to, not necessarily mentors, but just kind of role models that were in my local area at the time, was I was just like, how I want to help other people succeed, because I realized that coaching of any capacity can be very expensive and time consuming. And if you don't have the skills or the know-how to make money in our industry, that's the last thing that you're thinking about. And so I have always been one that I want to take that knowledge that I'm learning and give it to other people, other realtors that are 26 years old, not from here, and they can become something fantastic and, recognize that, you don't have to grow up in an area and be successful. Like, you can literally build something from the ground up. And that's something I'm very passionate about.
I totally understand. I moved to Texas not knowing anybody but you, a couple family members, and I had a baby on my hip, and you encouraged me every step of the way.
I was honest with you, though.
Yep, you were. You said, get ready, hold your britches, let's go.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just something I'm very passionate about. I think that I want to do that for my entire career. Is I want to see realtors, young entrepreneurs, or even people that have been in the business for a really long time that are like, I've been doing this for a period of time and I'm not being where I want to be. Like, there are solutions to, learn and adapt and succeed without, just beating your head up against the wall every single time you wake up.
I guess that's a little more where I had, been in the business for a few years and came to Texas Trio. And yeah, I have definitely grown a ton under you and am just in awe. But, I was reading this morning in preparation for our interview. I just read the prologue of your book. And
Did you cry?
I did. I cried. Kevin walked out and he was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Woo!" I didn't mean to cry, but anyways, it was where the title came from that got me. So all good trails lead.
All worthy
trails
lead uphill.
Uphill. Yes, there you go. It's so it came from your dad.
Yeah. My parents have been a major influence in who I am, like in my character. And a lot of people don't know I published a book, but I have had many breakdowns in my life where like I've like literally hit the floor and someone needed to scrape me off with a spatula, like in order to like, I have a lot of grit in me and I have a lot of drive, but there are times whenever I feel like I just have been beaten down so badly that I, at a bad time in my life, I turned to alcoholism, and, I was an absolute functioning alcoholic. And it took me being on the ground and my family and my people like in my circle, like that accountability that I'm talking about. Like, I think we all need it. And there's been several times that I've needed it. And so, I take all of that pain, just kind of like it's in a big bowl, a mixing bowl of sugar, spice, and everything not nice and everything that's beautiful too. And like, I just kind of keep going after that. But it does definitely, it's taken a lot of people around me and cheerleaders like that to get me out of those ruts. Mm-hmm. But that book particularly, I had dealt with a traumatic circumstance and I just had to get it out. Like I had to get all of that out. I think journaling is something that's really important if you're dealing with a difficult time in your life. And so I just took all of that emotion and flipped it around and made something, it was more of my emotions, just getting it out. And so if someone picks it up and, reads it and gets impacted or, when in the morning.
Just by the prologue, I'm like, okay, I need to read this book now. So I noticed that it does say that it's fictional, but based on true events. Is that?
Yeah. So I had taken the story of what had happened in my life and I made it a fictional story, so even a kid could pick it up and read it if they wanted to. And so, I mean, it's got pieces of my life through it that I just kind of had to get out in a sense.
Mm-hmm. It was a healing.
It was a healing experience, definitely. But as far as like the storyline of it, like it was very like imaginative.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to reading it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to circle back up with you and see how you feel about it.
Well,
it means a lot because I self-published it. So, like I'm doing all the editing and all of that. It was during 2020. Like I had been working on it probably a year. And anyways, I felt so bad because I kept sending it to people in my circle and I was like, hey, read this. Tell me what you think. Hey. I wanted their feedback and, they're living their life.
But I need you to care.
But then when the world shut down, I was like, okay, how can I self-publish? How can I do that? So I pivoted and, that's what I did. I love it.
Impressive. Very impressive.
Going back to that, you said you were just absolutely on the ground and you picked yourself up. I feel like it's not what you go through, it's how you interpret and develop and grow of what you went through. And I feel like you are the testament of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely think that people that have breakdowns, they have to be at a point where they either have a breakthrough or they're just going to break completely.
Right.
And so, yeah, I've had a couple breakdowns in my life, but, I look at it and I don't know who I would be without them. I think I would just be living a very normal, redundant life. And that's just, I don't think that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So, I'm appreciative of it. I hate it when they happen. I hate it. I mean, for anybody that has a hard time, depression, anxiety, panic attacks are not fun. But anyways, if I didn't have those things, I wouldn't be where I am at today and doing like those morning routines and stuff.
I love this line. The overall goal of this entire book, no matter what, basically role you play in life, is to realize we all have tragic parts to our life and how we decide to move forward from them is our own choice. So, yeah, absolutely about moving forward and what you're going to do with that.
Yeah. And
to
so
drive you.
and that's where I'm at today is just like every day I'm waking up and I'm like, God here put me here on a purpose. And so I'm just going to keep doing it and keep living and keep growing. And, you know, there are going to be hiccups in the road and they happen daily. But I think you have to put yourself in a mind state that, you know, you can get out of it. And I think your eating habits and like your health regimen and what you tell yourself is most important versus relying on what other people think and feel about you. That's one thing that even like kids, I wish that they could understand that it doesn't really matter how everybody feels about you. It's how you feel about yourself.
I completely agree. Like you said, eating right, taking care of yourself can change the trajectory of your day, your week, your entire life. So are there things that you follow in your personal life that keeps you going?
Yeah. I think it was in June of 2023 that the same thing happened to me when I had alcoholism. Like I walked by the mirror. It was like in December of 2019. So I know I'm bouncing around here, but it was like December of 2019. I walked by the mirror and I just looked at myself and I was like miserable. And I was like, I can never do this anymore. So I quit drinking that day, just cold turkey. And I went vegan for like 9 months. It was fun. But I think it was an awareness that I had to clean myself out and like just, you know, start fresh.
Detox.
Yeah, total detox. And it was right before COVID happened. So like when the world went crazy, I was just like, it's fine. So I did that. But in 2023, I had really got off my health regimen because stress and things like that we eat, or at least I eat more. I'm emotionally eating and I just wasn't doing well. So I was walking by the mirror again and I was just like, I don't feel good. So then I made a decision. I was like, I'm going to start working out every single morning. And so every single day my alarm goes off at 4:30. I'm getting up, I'll drink coffee and just kind of like get ready for the day mentally as much as I can, kind of look through emails and all that jazz or read. But then by 5 o'clock I have sneakers on, my AirPods in, and I'm out walking. So it could be snowing, it could be raining, it could be, 100 degrees outside. And, I'm just, my feet are still hitting the ground. So there's something else to do for the day. So that's what I do every day.
And I'm sure you feel very empowered and just a different mindset for the day if that's how you start out.
Yeah. When I first started that regimen, it was probably like 10 minutes, and it was just like, oh, I feel really good about my day. And then my AirPods, I'm listening to like metal music or rap music or like Eric Thomas's motivational speeches, just like screaming at me. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. I can, I will, I must, all of that. So I'm out there for like 30 minutes probably each day now. And it's so funny. My husband will be leaving to go to work and he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like jamming out, let's go. So it's definitely something it gets me in a higher state of being, to go get ready for the day. And there's nothing that can stop me.
Okay. So speaking of, I can, I will, I must.
Yeah.
How do you come up? You send us, morning affirmations every day. How do you come up with those? So,
So
religiously. Yes.
Right. So, speaking of the coaching organization that I'm in, there was an event last year in Dallas, and there's a really famous guy, Sean Anker. He did he was the keynote speaker at it. And he was talking about 4 to 5 things that you can do to change your day, and completely change your mindset. And it's kind of like an exercise. So if you do it for 21 days, you'll start noticing a major difference of the circle that you're in and the mood that you're in. So walking for 15 minutes, a brisk walk or something like that was one of them. But as far as affirmations and gratitude, one thing that I think is important is when you are in the lowest low of your life is you just have to sit back and reflect, and there are things that you can be grateful for. So that's just a routine regimen I added to my morning is, and for my team, I want you guys to, feel powerful in your own sense. And so even if you're having that bad day, you can say an affirmation about yourself, I am smart, I am wise, or, the I ams, but then the things that you're grateful for. I think it makes a major impact. And so it's just I'm very routine driven. So once I start doing something and it is beyond the 21 days, it's just a habit that just sticks. Plus my calendar alerts me affirmations and gratitude. And I'm like, yep, let's go. So even if I'm writing emails or talking to clients, I still get that notification of yeah, because I'm accountable to you guys. It's not just, me helping you and, all of those that I'm here, like whenever you need me. It's also like, I want to be accountable to you, so you have a source to rely on, and vice versa.
I don't struggle with the grateful fors, but I definitely struggle with the affirmations. I think it's a skill that you acquire to talk to yourself that way.
Right.
Yeah.
It
I'm
is
not
definitely,
there yet, but
it definitely can be. So, reading or watching podcasts or things like that. But one of my favorite quotes that I often say to myself is, "You are your own mirror." So if you're looking at yourself as I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, whatever the thing is, like, then you're reflecting that to the world. And so if you're talking negatively about yourself, then that's the vibe that you're setting out for everybody the entire day. And so it just depends. That's the thing, is we live in a world and we're humans, we can make choices. And so yes, there are times where it's very difficult and you don't feel worthy of something. But if you can at least try, of something that makes you, breathe, and while you're here, then it makes it a little bit easier.
I definitely agree that when we write our affirmations and grateful, it just gives you that moment to just sit and reflect and, really just get your mind going. So I feel like it's a very positive mental health strategy that we have.
Yeah, we're in a business where I feel like we can be psychologists to 20 to 50 people a day, and then we're going home, and then we're being psychologists and mentors to the people in our life. And so it can be our life is so rapid, like whether it's social media, emails, calls, people in the office, people on the streets, traffic, all of those things. Like, it's so rapid fire that we have to sit back and reflect for just a second. And it can be overwhelming, and you can forget the things that we're grateful for. But, one of the things I know I say it a lot in the gratitude is that I'm just grateful for fresh air, fresh water, electricity. There's people in the world that don't have those things. And just to sit back and just be grateful for those, and to honor that, I think is just something that a lot of us have lost touch with doing.
Like you said, real estate is not just we open a door, write a contract, and close. Like, there is so much more that we see that the public does not. For example, the other day, closed a buyer transaction. I represented the buyers, and as we were leaving, the seller just broke down bawling. Wasn't even our client. And just talking to him, it was a divorce situation, and he didn't want to sell. So at that point, you have to take your realtor hat off and, just be there for that person, regardless of what that looks like. And sometimes that can get really heavy. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of humanitarianism, like whenever it comes to our business. But that is one thing that I learned quickly in becoming a realtor is I am not responsible for other people's emotions. And so though I'm caring and I'm appreciative for what they're going through, and I'm willing to have empathy during the process, it is not my responsibility for someone else's emotion. So that is one thing that I had to learn to turn it off, because some people run themselves ragged in this business of I'm going to work from 5 a.m. till 12 p.m. or 12, midnight or something like that. And they just burn themselves out so quickly. And so you have to develop a schedule and, yes, obviously be caring, but, don't let people run all over you to make it in this industry.
So going back, saying, a lot of realtors work 5 a.m. to midnight. Do you feel like that plays a big part into why only 87% of agents stay in the business?
It's hard to say, because some people that works for them, and heck yeah, I hope that the time that they're spending is worthy time. They're not just burning themselves out and wreaking havoc on the people in their lives. But at the same time, I was told early in my career that we are professionals, just like a doctor, just like an attorney, just like teachers, all of those things. Like, you go and you're on, and then when you're off, you're off. And so you have to create that schedule that works for you. But could it be a reason for burnout? Absolutely. But also, if that's what works for them, then so be it.
I think a lot of them just get into the business and, don't know. They don't know what they don't know. So
Yeah.
they think it's, oh, I get to open a door and show a pretty house. And, you know, they don't think about sometimes that door you're opening, you're going to gag when you walk in because the house smells so bad. That literally happened. But anyways, I think it's just a very glamorous sounding job. And then they get into it and it's open house signs in 110-degree heat at noon on a Saturday, you know, or whatever it is. It's just not, it's not glamorous all the time.
A lot that goes into it.
There are some times when it's glamorous, but
Yeah.
I would say it's less than 50% of the time.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of it's navigating personality types. Because if you have somebody that's just very driven and fast, and then you know they want to just get the deal done, and then the realtor that's working with them is very expressive and like, let's talk about it, and that doesn't work. Like, you have to, in a sense, learn to adapt to who you're dealing with, read the room all the time. And that is a skill that, I think yes, there's a lot that goes into our business, but I think if you take the time to skill build and to practice and to do all the things to become successful, it makes it a lot easier on yourself.
Absolutely. I agree. So how do you, I know you say like at some point you just turn it off, you're done for the night. How do you religiously stick to that schedule to maintain that work-life balance, being a top producing team leader to a mother, a wife? What is that for you?
It's definitely sitting and like organizing my schedule and seeing, for my first priority are my children. And so like, what do they have going on? Do they have school stuff? Do they have extracurricular stuff? And like putting that in my schedule. And then they know that is my solid time for them. And then also, like, I have a lot of clients, and so they're aware that we're going to be reaching out to them, one time a week, and they're going to be hearing from me. But as far as turning it on and off, there are situations where you have to be available, but I just know that, I'm running a business, and so I'm working. I'll be here every single day, Monday through Friday from 8. But then, my kids are out of school. Most of my clients are kind of already going to know, but they're not calling me all the time because they're aware of what is going on with the listing on their home, or if they're purchasing a home, I've got a team behind me and myself that's keeping them in the loop, throughout the transaction, so they're not in a panic. So I think if you set yourself up and your business up like that, so the expectations are met on either side, then it makes it a lot easier to step away.
Yeah, just setting those expectations up front to know, what's going to happen, when you're going to hear from us, what the data is. Right.
And one of the biggest things that I like, my first year was I got like an award for like so many reviews and all of that. But what I learned, like even from that point in like 2014 and beyond, is like communication and persistence is like all in the verbiage that clients say about me. So it's always about communication. If you're just open and honest with somebody about where things are at and where they're going, they're not going to drive you crazy 24 hours a day. And we have to realize that we're in an industry that, yes, we're someone's advocate, and yes, we build friendships where they feel like family and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I can't fix all the problems. So if there's a water break in your house, I'm a realtor. I am not a plumber. And so, you give in building those people around you, like I said, like I had to go meet the people A to Z and like vendors and contractors like to rely on for those 911 situations, but you have to stay in your role.
Have a solution, but stay in your lane.
Yeah. And so 90% of the time, like a client could be calling you over and over and over again, but you're out showing property or doing whatever. And, you finish all that. And by the time you call them back, they've resolved the problem anyways. Like you're a scapegoat sometimes. So, just giving them the resources that they need is important from the get-go, from the time you have the first meeting.
So in your home life, since you separate your schedules like that, what do you do to relax when you get home? When you're downtime and you're not dealing with schedules of kids.
Well, I love to read. I think one year, I think it was like 2020, I went to the library and just like started reading all these books. I probably read like 300 books that year. Like, it was crazy.
Wow.
I love to read. I love my animals. and just hanging out with my chickens and watching them is really entertaining. But living in the country, you have to have like a really strong backbone because nothing is forever. And so that's something moving out here that even though I grew up with it, like I think my parents protected me from that. But anyways, out here, like I just love spending time with my animals and my family and my friends. I really just love Saturdays or Sundays, just kicking back with my friends and just like being by the pool. Like that's really what I enjoy doing.
Fun.
You totally forgot to add you love your hot tub.
I love my hot tub.
And her guineas. She didn't say
And her
guineas.
guineas.
And my guineas. Yeah, I love all my animals. I love our cows. I love the little calves running around. I
didn't
love
even
my
realize
dogs.
you had cows.
We do.
Oh.
We do. It's we've probably been over a year. We've had cows. It's more of my husband's thing. I just like walking out and looking at them. They're really cute. But just being outside. I love hiking. I love being by the beach. Like, you know, those are I delegate time for self-care. I think that is so important, especially for every human, but I definitely think for women, you know, that are wearing all the hats, you have to delegate that time. If it's 10 minutes a week, it's 10 minutes a week.
So I lost it. Never mind. Edit.
We're going to edit this.
Oh, I was going to say beach or lake, girl.
Oh, beach.
Your beach. Okay.
I love going to the lake. I love water of all sorts. Like, I love it all. I love rivers. I love being by the pond and fishing and frog gigging and doing all that. I mean, I can look very city-like, but I'm also a pretty country girl, too. But I love the beach. If I could get to the beach, I would live by the beach if I could.
Awesome. Summer or fall? I'm assuming summer with that
We
answer.
just talked about this. Yes, I'm a summer baby, so it's summer all day. Now, it's incredibly hot right now, and like I don't like whenever it feels like this, I don't love it so much, but I love fall. Fall is nice. I like, you know, doing stuff like carving pumpkins and doing all that, but as far as like winter, ugh. Yeah,
Not so much.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Wait till menopause hits. Sorry. Summer's gonna suck. Just kidding.
Well, growing up in Missouri, we are totally not used to the winter here.
Oh,
I
it's
don't-
so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember like the first year my kids were in school and it was like sleeting outside and they were just like, we're canceling school or the highways are shut down. And I'm like, I think we can still make it to Walmart. I think for sure. And like HEB we're going. Like, and no one wanted to get out. Like, it's funny.
Yeah.
Winters are so different. And when we recently went to Missouri, my kids, like, I was like, it's so hilly and it's not like that. You know, it's kind of flatter. We're not near the hill country so much. So my kids were like looking at the roads and they're like, this is so fun. And like all the hills going in the car. But then I was telling them, I was like, when I was a kid, like we were sledding down these hills. Like I wish that we could have those things out here too.
Fun.
Texas really, is it like once in a blue moon that it snows? Because I remember it happened, when was the last time? 2021?
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
That was a lot of snow. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it
Well,
was
for you to say that, okay, I would have said that, but I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought you would have laughed at me.
Well, I've been here long enough that, you know, when it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And so we were not expecting that at all. Like, I remember just waking up and I was like, honey, there's like a lot of snow outside. And he was like, whatever. And then we went out there and he's like, oh my gosh, it was like Missouri. It was so much snow.
That's so funny.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
that
something
was
that we have every year.
Was that Erie, the freeze? I think it's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That did a lot of good things around the state of Texas.
Yeah. We developed a lot of relationships with plumbers.
Yes, exactly.
And electricians and gas companies, all that. But I think things like that, you know, just prepares you for whatever. But yeah, I like snows like that. I don't like when it's like rainy and the negatives. That's no fun.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Agreed.
So, where do you see yourself and Texas Trio team in 5 years?
Running the world. You know, did you say 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
5 years. I mean, I just see massive growth. I see growth in each of you every single day, and myself. That's all. That's one thing that I think we are just striving for, and helping as many clients as we possibly can. But one of my biggest things, like I said earlier, is like helping other people realize their greatness. I definitely think that the NAR settlement that's getting ready to go into play is going to play a major impact. So for people that are like, my broker isn't helping me, I have no idea what to do. If you don't have the skills and you don't know what to say, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And so, I feel like we could be a catch net for a lot of people that want to be top producers and to be those advocates. Like you said, it means so much to have that net of safety, and people to help you grow your business. And so I would love to see our team grow exponentially. But at the same time, it's for the right people at the right time.
And so Texas Trio Team does not mean 3 people.
No, it does not.
What does it mean?
Well, so originally when we started, we wanted definitely Texas in it, because Missouri girls, we loved helping Texas transplants and all that, so we definitely wanted that in there. And then it was more on the things that we guarantee our clients every single time. So it's the foundation of having us as a support system, the communication, and negotiations. Those are things that are highly important during a transaction, and we do them every single time. So that's the trio, because if you don't have that trinity, then you're just going to be running in a wheel and not making any progress. So yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but we'll always know it.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
It is. Well, and there's more than 3 agents on our team, so it's clearly not the amount of people we have.
It
on
is
the
not
team.
the amount of people, the amount of, we have a support staff, we have transaction coordinators that are working with us. We have, administrative marketing stuff that we're doing. We have an assistant that's running around. And then, yes, we've got top producing realtors on our team that are working every single day.
It takes a village.
It does.
It's definitely I feel like we're a SEAL team. So there are teams across the United States that have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents on them. And it's more just kind of, I don't mean it in a mean way, but it's like a puppy mill. They're just pushing production. And so that's fine. But I think if you just have a solid SEAL team that's going in,
Going back to quality versus quantity.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you can only do so much. And so do I see growth for our team in the future? 100%. Because, we're at, I was just telling somebody yesterday that I was all hands are on deck right now for our team. It's not like there's somebody that's not pulling their weight, and no matter what it is. And so, but there's always room for more.
Absolutely. I just want to touch on the NAR settlement.
Okay.
So many people are saying it's not going to change the business, it's not going to change a thing.
That's not true.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's not
I know
true.
what your thoughts are, but I want to hear it.
I think that if you knew about it, and were at least aware of it, that's one thing. And then prepared yourself. And we're in an industry where we're independent contractors. And so, if you don't have, if you have not been building the skills, it can be a slap in the face when August 17th turns around. If this airs or not before then, I don't know. But I do know that, if you aren't ready, then you need to start making yourself really ready really quickly. Because, it's just something that the DOJ, wanted to make this shift. And so I think it's going to be good. So when I say, it's going to change the industry, I don't mean that in a negative sense. I think it's just being transparent and open with your clients about what that looks like, about what compensation looks like.
Which is something that we've already discussed. So it's just those small pivots that us as a team, I'll say anyways, because you've always implemented those things even before it was required.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so I think the people that are out there that got into this industry, thinking that it was going to be the shiny cars and opening doors and making it really easy, or maybe they just know a lot of people in their area, thinking that that's just going to get them by. I think that's going to be a little rocky for those folks. But hopefully they're finding the resources and the teams or the brokerages that are just being available 100% of the time to help them with that.
Do you feel that we're going to see a lot of realtors drop out of the game after this settlement?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what the numbers would look like, but there's been ebb and flow in our industry, just like any other industry. But when there's a good market, there's a good market. When there's a bad market, there's a bad market, and there's only people that are. And that's one thing. It's not only we're juggling so many hats during the day, but it's expensive. So if you're not managing that, or if you're not able to fulfill those dues and those fees and your marketing expenses and all that on your own, I think, what are you going to do? Like, I'm one of those that I was never given a silver spoon in my mouth. And so you got to go out and get it. So how you go out and get it is up to you. But at the same token, like, it's just a realization that it's not meant for everybody.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's not easy.
No.
I think that's another thing too. When you're getting into the business, you don't initially see those upfront costs, the extensive marketing campaigns, the business cards, MLS dues. So
Signs.
there's just so much that goes into creating a successful business.
Oh, absolutely. And, that a lot of business owners, and I'm not just talking real estate, they'll tell you that whenever you go in, don't expect to have a massive profit, like, quickly. It's all about what you're providing and who's buying it. And so, yes, it is. Real estate is definitely something that once you get in it is very expensive. It is, and that's anytime a recruit or someone tells me that they're interested in becoming a realtor, I tell them that. And so whatever they do with it is of their own, what they want to do with their path. But it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it, but that's just it for any business owner, about your office space, all the expenses, all the supplies, all your overhead, what that looks like. So that's just a real conversation that young entrepreneurs need to know, is how to prepare for that and be prepared for that. And yes, you're going to have setbacks, and that's, time management and money management are two of the things that I think realtors struggle with. And so if you can, like, at least navigate those two things, so you're keeping your head above water, then you're going to be all right.
Like we had said in a podcast, we don't know of any small business that's like, it's been great the entire time. Like, it's those up and downs and what you do with those downs that, really can set you apart from, other businesses.
Yeah. And what you can do when you don't have the money. So we're in something that, we are in the greatest time as far as technology and how you're utilizing it to maximize your profit. So yeah, it's just a real conversation you have to have with yourself before you step into becoming a business owner of, can I do this? Will I do this? And if your yeses to those, then you're fine. And it's
Must I do this?
I can, I will, I must. But
Was
yeah.
that an affirmation coming from you?
Oh, I think accidentally,
It
yes.
was.
See, it's paying off.
I love that. What is one piece of advice to anyone to do something for themselves to strengthen their life? What's something they could do, or a quote, or anything?
Yeah, I'm just going to lean back on the one that, well, I have two actually. So the one that I already said is, you are your own mirror. So if you recognize that every day when you're walking by it, because like I've told you, like it was like 2 times in my life I walked over the mirror and I'm like, oh, I don't like it, So,
And that's when you made the change.
yeah, so that's when I made pivots in my life. So I use that one a lot. But also, this too shall pass. That's a big one. My dad told me that when I was like in high school, and I've told myself that a lot. Like, it's just like, when it's really, really bad, like, it'll go away. Like, it may not be exactly perfect tomorrow, but it'll get better.
That's
Absolutely.
important to remember, that you are strong enough, you are capable, you are loved, you are worthy, etc.
Yeah, affirmations. You can, yeah. But I remember as a kid that my dad, like, I was a softball player and I was a pitcher. So when I was in the middle of the field on the mound, like, even if we were driving in the truck, he would be like, if somebody's on first and third, what are you going to do? If they hit it, line drive and it goes out to left field, what are you going to do? Like, and it was always like preparing myself, like, for being on the field. And, I just look back at those moments a lot of, like, you have to prepare yourself and mentally get in the state of mind. Like, and one thing too is, like, I always looked at myself as the underdog, and, looking at my old self, like, as a young kid, like, I really wasn't, but I'm only like 5 foot tall. And so people think that I'm like a lot taller than that. And it's because the confidence, like when you walk into a room with confidence, like it doesn't really matter. Like
a game changer.
It's a game changer. And so like, it doesn't matter what you look like, how tall you are, how much you weigh or any of that. But if you feel like a boss, then you're a boss.
And people perceive you that way. They see the confidence when you walk in the room, when you talk to your clients.
And it's not just a perception, like you got to feel it. And so I feel like if you come into a room and you portray and become like who you want to, you know what you're trying to achieve, rather than like being meek in this world, like that doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Do you feel like well, at this point, it's just part of who you are. I feel like, I guess for me, I still put that on, if you will, you know, and I look forward to the day when it's just part of who I am.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it definitely takes a lot of time. And so if you've like dealt with a lot of trauma, dealt with a lot of issues, and like you haven't done the self work to work through it and to look at yourself with that confidence, then, it's just going to take time. Like that's all I can really say about it. But like I started this interview, there's been a lot of times that I've been melted like slime on the ground, and somebody in my life like came through with like this metal spatula and was like, get up. And so it takes a lot. A lot of solo agents don't have that. They don't have that person to be like, hey, I have an emergency going on with my family. Can you do that open house? Or, hey, I want to go out of town for vacation, but I got to do this. Can you help me? That's what I love so much about our team specifically.
I think that's one thing too that sets us apart. We have laughed together, we have cried together, we have hugged, we have celebrated everything in between, and that just means so much to be a part of that and to have that.
Yeah, it's like a little small family, It
is.
Yeah, and so we can go to have fun at the water park, and then the next day, I'm going to be like the boot camp guy. I'm like, get to work, like, so I mean, I love that we have all this, go get it. And so I love that we have that relationship with each of us, and everybody's personality is so different. So it's not like, there's teams out there that they have like, they mirror each other. They all look exactly the same, and they look and act exactly the same. And then there's some people that, that they're all different. And I love that we're a team that's all different, like that we come from all different backgrounds, all different stories. And, then we're making something amazing for the world. I think we're changing the world a little bit every day, whether we like to see that or not.
Great.
So just several components that I believe sets Texas Trio Team apart. And the fact that we're awesome. That kind of helps too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, like whether it's this rule change or whatever, just especially with technology and their advances that are going on, with AI shifting and all of that, we're in an amazing time right now, and just you just got to grab the bull by the horns and just keep going.
And we're prepared for it.
Yep,
we're ready.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be struggles. I'll tell you that right now. There's going to be things that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I have this situation going on. But at the end of the day, we got each other, and, we have people like that we've built in our database that we can rely on as well to help us. I'm super excited where our team is going. I am super excited for the real estate industry. I think that it's an amazing time to be alive, and overall too. So just people, like I said, grab life like a bull by the horns, and, buckle up. It's ready to ride.
Let's do this.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'll close it out for us today, like I was the special guest, but you can always find us at www.texastrioteam.com. Follow us on socials as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and keep living your best life.